And let me start with the directors of dfcu Limited. I'd like to start with Mr. Chironde Lule. I'd like to move on to Mr. Frederick Pelser. I'd like to introduce Madame Barbara Arimi. I'd like to introduce in absentia Dr. Amina Zawede, who is joining us virtually. I'd like to introduce Dr. Ekoit Akelo Christine. And I want to introduce Mr. George Achom, who is the general manager of our company, dfcu Limited. And from the bank, we have the chief executive, Matthias Katamba, and our company's secretaries, legal mark advocates, represented by Mrs. Olivia Charimpa Matovu. And we also have our external auditors, who are represented by Mr. Geoffrey Biamgisha, the country managing partner. Also in attendance are members of the board of dfcu Bank, starting with the chair, Dr. Winfred Tarinyebwa Kiliabwire, Mr. Albert Yonkahal, Mrs. Grace Makoko, who is in absentia, Mr. Steve Kale, who is here, Madame Jackie Obola Ochola, and again, the executive directors, the CEO, Matthias Katamba, and Mr. William Sekabembe, the executive directors. We also wish to welcome the regulators who are attending today. And from the Capital Markets Authority, we have Mr. Keith Kariejira. And we also have from the Uganda Securities Exchange, Mrs. Alison Kwidiza. Let me introduce Mr. Matthias Katamba, the CEO of the dfcu Bank, to introduce his EXCO, his executive team, and members of the Women in Business Advisory Council. Over to you, Mr. Matthias Katamba.
And directors, the members of the executive team of dfcu Bank are Mr. William Sekabembe, the executive director and chief commercial officer, Mrs. Angelina Namakula Ofono, our company secretary and chief legal officer, Ms. Hope Ekudu, who is the chief operating officer, Ms. Veronica Sentongo, who is the chief change and innovation officer, Mr. Victor Rugeyamu, our chief risk officer, and Ms. Kate Kiza, our chief finance officer. Also with us are members of the dfcu Women in Business Advisory Council, Dr. Gudula Naiga Basaza, Ms. Belinda Namtebi, Ms. Rosemary Mutiabule, and Ms. Patricia Karugaba Chazen. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Matthias, our CEO for dfcu Bank. Members and shareholders, as I said earlier on, that the resolutions will be put to vote at this meeting shall be passed by poll. Members can vote in favor of or abstain from any resolution. The poll results will be tallied and shall be published on the company's website within 24 hours. Participating members shall receive an SMS or an email prompt to cast their votes. Right after the poll is closed, the results will be displayed on your screens. Thereafter, they shall be published on the company's website within 24 hours, and you'll get a chance to see the company's website running across the screen. And the outcome shall be deemed to be a resolution of this meeting enforceable immediately. I now like to call upon our company secretary to ascertain whether there is quorum for this meeting.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, shareholders, directors, and invited guests. Mr. Chairman, I confirm that 687 members registered to attend this meeting. And in attendance so far, we have a representation of 86.34% of the shareholder or share capital. Chairman, this is more than 40% required under Article 51 of the Articles of Association. I therefore confirm that the required quorum is present, and I invite you, Chairman, to open the meeting.
Thank you, Olivia. I declare and duly constituted. I now call upon you to look at the notice of the meeting, and I call upon the Secretary to confirm the notice convening this meeting.
Thank you, Chairman. A 21-day notice of this meeting was issued. The notice of the AGM was published on Thursday, 30th June 2022 in the newspapers as well as on our website. With your permission, Chairman, I request that the notice be taken as read.
Thank you. Dear shareholders, I now wish to officially welcome you to the 57th Annual General Meeting of dfcu Limited and the third virtual AGM that the company is holding. I'm honored to be chairing this meeting as Chairman dfcu Limited. In the interest of time, allow me to make a few remarks highlighting the key highlights of my statement, which is on page 19 of the annual report, which was shared with all of you online. I was honored to be appointed board chair in April 2020 this year. As you may recall, Dr. Honorable Eli Karuhanga informed you at the last annual general meeting that he would be retiring from the board of dfcu Limited. We sincerely thank him for the great service he rendered to dfcu, and we wish him luck in his new endeavors. I also wish to extend my gratitude to Dr. Amina Zawede, who provided leadership to the board as an acting chairperson prior to my appointment. dfcu continues to carry a rich legacy of supporting Uganda's economic growth through financing key sectors of the economy, driving financial inclusion through our extensive branch network and electronic banking solutions. We focused on execution to deliver our commitment to investors, having taken stringent actions to secure our future following the economic downturn resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic, which affected all of us. In 2021, the group net income grew substantially by 21.4% from Uganda shillings 311 billion to Uganda shillings 377 billion, driven by a 23% increase in fee income, a 6% increase in interest income, and a significant 30% reduction in interest expenses. This was achieved mainly by the rationalization of our business operations and the increased use of our digital platforms. And I wish to take that opportunity to thank the members and staff of the dfcu Bank, the main subsidiary. On the other hand, a few of our customers with large exposures experienced tough COVID-related business challenges, and the bank had to make higher than anticipated provisions for loans and advances. This has resulted in an increase in impairment of loans and advances of Uganda shillings 148 billion shillings, which consequently resulted in a decline in profit after tax from 24 billion in 2020 to Uganda shillings 14 billion in 2021. You'll hear more of that when the bank CEO addresses us. The business continues to focus on growing our market share, improving return on equity, and and average cost to income ratio. We seek to improve the cost to service for our customers through enhancement of our electronic channels. A lot of focus will also be placed on improving the loan book to drive down the non-performing loans. At the group level, our team is working on a new strategic plan aimed at harnessing the group synergies by introducing new products and business lines that are ordinarily not offered by the main trading entity, the bank. While the directors are optimistic of an economic recovery, the recent economic trends which we are seeing point to a possibly prolonged delay in the recovery. To prepare our company for any adverse effects resulting from the economic shocks which we are seeing, your board, the board of directors, has taken a precautionary approach and is not recommending payment of dividends for the year 2021. However, this position will be closely monitored and shareholders advised on any developments. Looking forward, we have commenced the implementation of our enhanced strategy which will help the company transform lives and our businesses. The bank would like to thank our regulators, our shareholders, our customers, our staff, and the communities in which we operate, and as well all other stakeholders for their commitment to the continued growth of our company. I would also like to extend appreciation to the following directors who have since left the dfcu group. Mr. Ovid Solvang, who was a non-executive director of dfcu Bank and served the board since 2019, chaired the Assets and Liabilities Committee. We would like to appreciate the wealth of experience that he brought to us as a bank and wish him luck in his new endeavors. Mr. William Kramer, who was a non-executive director and served the board since 2016 and chaired the Risk Committee of the bank. He also has left the bank, and we wish him best endeavors in his new endeavors. I'd also like to take this opportunity, and our sincere gratitude is extended to Mr. Albert Yonkahau, who had to resign from the board of dfcu Limited to ensure compliance with the central bank regulatory requirements, but remains on the board of dfcu Bank. With these few remarks, dear shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, I will now proceed to the business of this annual general meeting. I thank you. So I propose we move on to the next item. I propose we take the minutes of the 56th annual general meeting as read and as a true record of the previous meeting. I also would like to note that these minutes were shared with all the shareholders in their emails or address boxes. We will now have a presentation from the General Manager of dfcu Limited and the Chief Executive of the bank on the business performance for the year 2021. This presentation will help give a background from which the financial statements can be understood and interpreted. I now invite Mr. George Achom and Mr. Matthias Katamba to take us through the presentations.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Good morning, shareholders, our directors, my colleagues, and those who are observers of this 57th AGM. I'll take the pleasure to present what dfcu represents and DFCU, I would first start by giving our journey. DFCU Limited was founded in 1964 by CDC and the government of Uganda. In 1999 to 2000, we embarked on our banking journey. First, we bought the Uganda Leasing and renamed it DFCU Leasing. And then in the year 2000, we acquired Gold Trust Bank and renamed it DFCU Bank. And that is when we came into the commercial banking sector in earnest. In the year 2004, DFCU Limited was listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And in 2008, as you may notice, that we had other businesses under DFCU Limited, the leasing company, the leasing business, and long-term finance business was under Limited. In 2008, all financial services were consolidated into the bank, and we merged the two businesses, the development finance business, to create a one-stop bank in DFCU. In 2013, the group received a strategic partner, and that is Rabobank, which has significant experience in the agribusiness. From 2017 to date, Rabobank, No Finance, consolidated their stake in DFCU Limited as one shareholder called Arise BV. In 2014, we did move to our state-of-the-art head office, and this helped us to consolidate all our activities in one center. In 2017, our shareholders, we acquired certain assets and assumed certain liabilities of Crane Bank, and this helped us increase our footprint and also widened the size of our balance sheet, enabling us to take on larger business propositions. In 2019, IFU acquired a stake in DFCU as one of the very first shareholders. CDC exited the group. Ladies and gentlemen, who do we stand for? DFCU, the vision for DFCU is transforming lives and businesses through innovative solutions and empowered people. And our mission is to grow shareholder value while playing a key role in transforming the economy and enhancing the well-being of the people. And our core values are professionalism, integrity, customer focus, courage, and teamwork. DFCU Limited has 3,810 shareholders, of which the top shareholders are Arise BV with 58.7%, IFU with 9.97%, NSSF with 8.86%, and Kimberlite with 7.35%. The balance of 15.12% represents our retail shareholders. We would like to appreciate our shareholders for the continued support that they are giving to the company. So basically what we do, as mentioned, DFCU Group has DFCU Bank, which is the main trading entity. And in DFCU Bank, we offer a full range of banking services. We have the real estate arm, where we have properties. We have the DFCU Towers, the DFCU Financial Center, where we also have a state-of-the-art training center, and we have the other properties. We also undertake the investor relations. The shareholder relations are handled under DFCU Limited. We do our stakeholder management, and then we also handle the regulatory compliance part of it. We also, under Limited, have a for-profit organization called the Agricultural Development Center, where which does capacity building for farmer-based organizations and SMEs. They also carry out innovations on education, or they have applications that are used for educating farmers on financial literacy. This all is done to accelerate their transition from being just ordinary farmers to bankable farmers. We also do business coaching and mentorship under the Agricultural Development Center. In terms of our performance at the Uganda Securities Exchange, dear shareholders, as you're all aware, dfcu Limited is listed at the Uganda Securities Exchange and is also regulated by the Uganda Securities Exchange. Just a preamble, the USE Local Companies Index recorded a 14% decline as of last week compared to 4.33 increment in the same period last year. The DFCU's share price remained trading within a range of 580 to 550. This was mainly because the counter is fairly liquid. The DFCU counter lost 5.17% compared to an average decline of 11.39% among the listed banks. Going on the activity on the USE, we saw turnover in the USE grew by 128% to 20.73 billion compared to 9 billion in the first half of 2021. Listed banks accounted for 15.2 of the market turnover, and but DFCU turnover dropped to 0.002 in the first half of 2022. As I mentioned earlier, DFCU counter remains fairly liquid, meaning that there are fairly few shares that are traded. I think this is basically a testament to the fact that DFC investors have confidence in the company and have invested in the long term, so they are not always in the market selling our shares. Thank you, Chairman. At this point, may I now allow me invite Mr. Matthias Katamba, the CEO of the bank, to give us highlights of the financial performance of the company. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you, George. Good morning, members, once again. George has taken us through the company information, and I will be taking you through the operating environment, key highlights, and then we shall delve into the numbers, rounding it all up by looking at the strategy of the company going forward. So in terms of the operating environment, the environment continued to be characterized by the pandemic and the second nationwide lockdown, which dominated March of that year, 2021. On the positive side, the country finally made progress on the oil and gas sector, with the final investment decision now fully committed. Key to note was the entry of new players in the market, with I&M Bank from Kenya taking over Orient Bank, and a new credit reference bureau, GNU Grid, which bring the total of credit reference bureaus now in the industry to 3, really easing customer credit reference. Moving on to the next slide, we'll now look at the economic environment. From an economic perspective, GDP growth was slow in the first half of the year due to the election, but picked up in the second half, ending the year on a high with renewed optimism after the announcement of the full reopening of the economy. Inflation as well as lending rates also began to rise during the year, despite the continued low CBR during that year, and the outlook from an inflation perspective is that it will continue to rise in the short to medium term given the global geopolitical issues feeding into supply chains and energy prices globally. In terms of private sector credit, credit to the private sector grew at its slowest pace since tracking of these indicators began in 2007. As you can see on the graph, the only time credit has grown at a rate as low as what we witnessed in 2021 was during the election period of 2016, which highlights the cautious approach to lending that generally prevailed in the market given the heightened credit risk. In terms of sustainability, which we now look at on the next slide, in order to drive sustainability and social impact, we revamped our ESG framework to guide the company's efforts in environmental social governance, which incorporates a number of elements in the decision-making process across the company. So it looks at energy, waste, and circularity of products, which speaks to recycling for environment, customer and community relations for the social side, then accountability, ethics, and diversity from a governance perspective, elements which will be crucial to the company going forward. In the next slide, we look at stakeholder engagement in the key sectors that we operate in the community to drive sustainability. And it shows our engagement in the key sectors of focus. You will see that we continue to drive the conversation around agriculture, promoting best farming practices with the support of our partners, the Dutch Embassy. We engaged in the oil and gas sector as well to drive local content participation, supported women in business to grow their businesses, and with financial literacy programs, and continued to support SMEs through the top 100 medium-sized companies survey, which we do with our partners in the Nation Media Group, among others. So from a social impact point of view, we supported the medical sector, particularly the Uganda Cancer Institute with a patient waiting shed and children's play area, in addition to carrying out a vaccination drive for staff against COVID-19. We also supported the Kampala Capital City Authority Smart City Initiative by donating safety gear, and also supported the Happy Children's Home by donating essential items. Finally, we drove awareness of HIV as we supported the Kabaka Run that also promotes health and overall wellness amongst the community. Let's now delve into the financial performance. And looking at these financial highlights, this is what marked the year for DFCU for 2021. We registered strong growth in the core business metrics, and for this I would like to thank you for making this happen despite the challenging environment that prevailed during the year. On the revenue side, operating income grew by 21%, net interest income grew by 17%, non-interest income grew by 35%. We also delivered significant improvement on the cost side with a 25% reduction in the interest expense, a 13% improvement in the cost-to-income ratio, and a 16% reduction in borrowed funds. Looking at the statement of comprehensive income, and I'll spend a little more time on this slide, to give you a rundown of the drivers that enabled us to deliver the results and the key issues impacting our earnings, as you heard from the chairman. Starting from the top line, we delivered a 3% increase in interest income, which was driven by a strategic direction to grow our retail business while maintaining a leadership position in our other business segments for corporate banking and global financial markets. Fee income increased by 23%, adding 11.7 billion to the numbers. And key to note is the significant emphasis that was placed on growing our trade finance business, which increased by 39%, in addition to the emphasis on benefits realization for our digital solutions deployed that drove up our transaction levels across all digital channels to account for 76% of all transactions done by the customers during the year 2021. Interest expense is one of the great achievements made during the year, with a 26% reduction as we continue to drive negotiation of pricing and shedding of expensive deposits, focusing on the sustainable deposits. So a sustained effort was made in the area of cost management as we continue to drive down costs year on year, with a 4.2% decrease registered in that year. Let me mention, however, the major area that affected the company was impairment of loans and advances to customers, which highlights the impact of the pandemic, particularly to our business and to the customers in that period and to livelihoods. The 385% increase in loan provisions resulted in a reduction in a reduction of our profitability for the year by 39%. In the next slide, I'll talk a bit more about interest expense. This graph shows the trend of how interest expense has been progressing year on year, and you will note that significant reduction of 26% from 110 billion to 81.5 billion shillings. So if you translate this into numbers, it means that we saved 29 billion in costs that would have been paid out in expensive deposits. In terms of operating costs, let me talk about the reduction. This chart highlights the continued delivery of cost reductions year on year, and as you will see for the year 2021, the decrease in costs from 191 billion to 193 billion, which in turn drove the delivery of a significant improvement in the cost-to-income ratio by 13%, as highlighted in that chart on the right. Let me now move to the statement of financial position. On the balance sheet side, we deployed risk management in reducing our trading positions by 89% to avoid losses in the financial markets, while increasing the portfolio of held-to-maturity investments by 6.8% as part of risk management best practices. Net loans and advances to customers reduced by 15%, which we saw earlier, the record slow down in terms of credit growth. Banks took a cautious approach to lending overall. It should be noted that while the value of loans reduced, the number of borrowers we serve greatly increased by 40% during the period, which demonstrates our unwavering commitment to continue supporting customers to recover and thrive, particularly in the retail space. Customer deposits reduced by 12%. However, this was the result of the deliberate strategy to reposition our deposit mix by shedding or repricing fixed deposits during the period. All these initiatives impacted our total assets, which reduced by 10%, but now with a leaner and more efficient asset base to drive revenue growth while optimizing capital going forward. I'll now talk about restructures, which was an important feature of the year. As noted in the previous slide, our support to customers continued with credit relief in terms of repayment moratoriums and restructures. The sectors with the highest composition of credit relief for customers in terms of restructures were real estate, followed by agriculture, manufacturing, schools, hospitality, and the trade and commercial sector. When you look at how these are maturing, you will see that most of them, over 60%, come to term at the end of this month. But you will also note that others continue, particularly for those sectors that remained under prolonged restrictions, such as education, leisure, hospitality, and these 36% will continue up to September this year. We'll talk about composition of customer deposits. This graph highlights the marked improvement in our deposit mix year on year as we reduce the composition of fixed deposits from upwards of 30% to 25% during the year. On the other hand, the composition of more efficient current and savings account deposits has continued to increase year on year from a historical low of 56% to a high of 75% in the year concluded. If you couple this with a 16% reduction in borrowings, you will start to see how this translated into the reduction in interest expense by 29 billion shillings during the year. Looking at the financial ratios for the year, the ratios show how the key metrics have performed, with most of them improving during the year. But I will highlight the capital adequacy ratios, which stood at 22.2% for core capital and 23.4% for total capital, compared to the regulatory minimum of 8 and 12% respectively, plus a conservation buffer since DFCU Bank is categorized as a DSIB, or domestically systemically important bank. You will notice that despite the earnings position, our capital adequacy ratios have improved by more than 1%, which speaks to the deliberate efforts to reduce risk levels on the balance sheet in order to become more capital efficient. I'll now talk a little bit about our strategy and renewed vision. Our strategy going forward, this year and going forward, is to focus on customer obsession, and part of this obsession means being more focused on the impact we create through our business operations. Our renewed vision is transforming lives and businesses through innovative solutions and empowered people, while the mission is to grow shareholder value by playing a key role in transforming the economy and enhancing the well-being of our people. This speaks to the impact we create for people, especially our customers, and the impact we create in the communities in which we operate across the country in order to deliver value for all of our stakeholders. This renewed vision is the thrust that is going to drive our company strategy over the coming years. By way of a summary of this strategy, our strategy is underpinned by 3 strategic pillars, which are to embed customer obsession with winning propositions, being a digital and data-driven organization, and building a high-performance culture within the organization. Flowing from the strategic pillars are 7 strategic themes, and I will elaborate them quickly. The first is segmentation. The second is the customer value proposition. The core of theme dealing with personal banking, business, retail banking, and corporate banking customer segments. The second is digital and customer centricity, which deals with the front-facing side of our technology and customer service. The third is risk management, which looks at collections, approvals, and credit monitoring processes across the company. This is particularly crucial, having seen the level of impairment we had last year. Then we have productivity, which looks at cost management and how we continue to drive efficiencies to lower the cost to serve our customers. In addition, we have data and technology, which looks at the back end of our technology, electricity, servers, databases, and all which drive the front-end digital systems availability. Then we have the 6th, which is talent and organization, which deals with human capital development and institutional culture. And finally, the 7th and last strategic theme is execution, which addresses how we will consistently deliver results on the strategy. Let me end my remarks here, and thank you all very much.
Thank you, Matthias Katamba, and thank you, George, for the earlier presentation you did. Before the financial statements are adopted, which have been shared, I'd like to request the external auditors to present their report to the members. I propose we take the annual audited financial statements for the year that ended on December 31st, 2021, including the reports of the directors and the external auditors as read, since they were made available to the members. I now call upon Mr. Geoffrey Biamgisha of Ernst & Young and our external auditor for 2021 to present their audit opinion to the members. Welcome, Geoffrey.
Thank you very much, Chairman and shareholders. Mr. Chairman, the report of the independent auditor to the members of dfcu Limited on the consolidated and separate financial statements. Our opinion: we have audited the separate financial statements of dfcu Limited, the company, and the consolidated financial statements comprising the company and its subsidiary, together the group, set out on pages 11 to 116, which comprise the consolidated and separate statements of financial position as at 31st December 2021, and the consolidated and separate statements of comprehensive income, consolidated and separate statements of changes in equity, and consolidated and separate statements of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the consolidated and separate financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. Mr. Chairman, in our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statements present fairly in all material respects the consolidated and separate financial position of the group and the company as at 31st December 2021, and the consolidated and separate financial performance and consolidated and separate cash flows of the group and the company for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards and the requirements of the Companies Act. Mr. Chairman, shareholders, we are required to report to you the key audit matters. In the course of our audit, we had two key audit matters, one being accounting for expected credit losses on loans and advances to customers. And due to the uncertainty of the economic impact and COVID-19, management reassessed the assumptions used to estimate the expected credit losses on account of changes in market conditions and related observable inputs, and those have been adequately disclosed in the financial statements. Mr. Chairman, our second key audit matter was in respect of valuation of non-performing loans acquired from Crane Bank Limited in receivership. Again, as disclosed in the financial statements, the group recognized financial assets based on fair valuations of written-off and non-performing loans and advances acquired from Crane Bank Limited in receivership. The financial asset is measured at fair value through profit or loss. The fair valuation of the financial asset is determined using discounted cash flows method. The valuation of the financial asset is considered a key audit matter due to the significant amounts and judgments involved. The key judgments include estimating the future cash flows expected from the facilities and the time when the cash flows will be received. The estimation process is further complicated by the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the counterparties and general business environment. Mr. Chairman, those were the key two audit matters. The other section being the basis of how we conducted the audit. And Mr. Chair, as I conclude, we are required to report to you on other legal requirements. The Companies Act of 2012 of Uganda requires that in carrying out our audit, we consider and report to you on the following matters. We therefore confirm to you that we have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purposes of our audit. 2, in our opinion, proper books of account have been kept by the group and the company so far as appears from our examination of those books. And finally, the group's and the company's statement of financial position and statement of comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account. Thank you very much, and that was signed by ourselves on 30th of March.
Thank you, Mr. Geoffrey Byamgisha. Can I request the shareholders to probably give a round of applause to the management for receiving that external opinion which is claimed. I recognize many of us are attending virtually, and you may have some questions to ask. But before we embark to receive the questions, we shall provide you with guidelines on how to cast your votes for the resolutions placed before this annual general meeting. So I'm going to kindly request you to watch the video, which has the process of how you can cast your votes for the resolutions which we are going to place before you.
Welcome to the 57th Virtual Annual General Meeting of DFCU Limited. Voting. Once voting is open, those eligible to vote will receive a prompt on their mobile phones asking them to vote by dialing the provided USSD code on their mobile phones and following the prompts, or by voting via the live stream link. Those with multiple accounts or hold proxies on behalf of other shareholders will be prompted to vote for the various accounts consecutively. The voting process will be as follows. Registered shareholders and proxies will key in and dial the following USSD code from any mobile phone network in Uganda and Kenya. *284*32# for Uganda, *483*253# for Kenya. Preferred language. The prompt will be as follows. A. Choose language. 1. English. 2. Kiswahili. Once the shareholder chooses the language, the next prompt will be as follows. Welcome to the DFCU Limited AGM. Reply with 1. Once the shareholder has responded, they shall receive the following prompt. Accounts registered with your number are listed below. Reply with 1 to vote using the first listed account. Do you approve the report and financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2021, including the reports of the chairman, directors, and external auditors? Reply with 1 if in favor, 2 if against, or 3 if to abstain. Continue following the same prompts for all other resolutions. Shareholders with multiple accounts shall be prompted to vote until they exhaust all their accounts. Thank you. Name. Your vote has been registered. Voting via the live stream dashboard. Shareholders will receive an SMS with their live stream link. Once you click the link, you will find the vote button on the dashboard. Click the button and thereafter click the voting options as per your choice. Once completed, click the Vote for Motions button to complete voting. Closing the voting process. Closing of voting will be announced by the chairman. Announcing of the poll results. Results of the resolutions voted on will be published on the company's website within 24 hours following the conclusion of the AGM.
We thank you, shareholders, for the several questions which you have posted online. Responses to the questions have been uploaded, and I will now invite some questions from you during this live feed.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Miss Betty, you're now live at the AGM. Please ask your question.
Yes, okay. Thank you. My name is Nabuto Betty Mulyaya. I'm a shareholder. After going through the financial statements that were sent to us, I read that a dividend has once again not been declared. I remember the excuse we had last time was that you were restrained from doing so by the Bank of Uganda during the pandemic lockdowns. But now I'm wondering, why hasn't it been declared? I have shares in other banks, and a dividend has been declared. So why haven't you declared a dividend this time? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Betty.
You're welcome.
The directors recommend a no dividend payment in 2021, despite all other listed companies paying dividends, and that even last year we had been restricted by the regulator not to pay dividends. Can I invite our General Manager, Mr. George Achom, to respond to that query?
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, shareholder Betty, for that question. As you rightly mentioned, there was a moratorium from Bank of Uganda on payment of discretionary payments, including dividends last year, 2019 and 2020. However, as you may recall, in 2021, we actually did pay out a dividend to our shareholders. The company remains committed to pay our shareholders a dividend, but the dividends largely come from our trading entity, which is dfcu Bank. The last 2 years have been particularly challenging for the bank, as some of our large local corporates, especially in the construction and real estate sectors, were severely affected by a delayed receipt of contractual payments. The delays have resulted in the bank making higher than anticipated provisions for bad debts, which has affected our profitability. All efforts are being made to rehabilitate the accounts and recover outstanding amounts. This should in turn around our profitability, and we should be able to pay our dividends just the way we have been doing. Maybe just to mention, since 2004 when we listed, the company has always consistently paid dividends, and we shall continue to do so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, George. I hope that's a satisfactory answer. And as I said in my opening remarks, that we will continue as a board to closely monitor this situation, and shareholders will be advised on any new developments. Can I take one more question from the live feed?
Hello.
Hello, Miss Irene. You're live at the AGM. Please go ahead and ask your question.
I prefer Majanja. Okay. Yeah, I thank the management, the board, and also the management staff for all the efforts put in to keep our bank still in the market. But I realize that much as there is COVID, but still the performance of the bank has somehow declined. Now, what strategies have you put in place so that the bank keeps a niche in the banking sector? We stay afloat in the banking sector, and also to increase on the dividends paid to shareholders. Honestly, that dividend, we appreciate you are able to give us dividend, but then we are not very satisfied. We think you could do more. And especially, I'm more interested in the strategies put in place so that we keep a niche in the banking sector
and also maybe we become the leading bank. At the moment we are not. This is Dr. Majanja Zalimbike, shareholder from Kalangala. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Irene Majanja, and we thank you for your participation in all our AGMs for quite a long time. We do take note of your question, which is around the DFCU's performance declining and not giving you stellar results. I would like to invite the CEO of the bank to respond to your question, but also speak a little bit about the strategy to help us recover. But as the CEO prepares to answer, I just thought we should take note of the highlights that the CEO shared with us. That DFCU Bank had a good revenue growth, with total revenues growing by 21% in 2021. So the top line growth was good, and it was among the highest in the industry. The cost-to-income ratio reduced from 63% to 50%, and all these, if you look at some of these parameters, they demonstrate strength in our underlying business. However, we can ask the CEO to give more clarity on some of the things that let us down and give us a strategy of how we come out going forward. Thank you, Matthias.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and let me thank the shareholder for that question. I think, as the Chairman has mentioned, and as I highlighted in my remarks, the underlying performance of the company was strong. Our revenue growth was strong. Efficiency in the company continued to improve. Our cost management improved significantly, and that will continue to improve. The biggest setback was the impairment on loans in particular sectors where we have been quite significant players over a long period of time, with specific customers that we have dealt with for a significant period of time. So the key thing, now and going forward, is to ensure that to try and recoup the provisions we have made on those names. But also we continue to diversify our business through our new strategy, which now anchors under 3 core segments, which is retail personal banking, retail business banking, and corporate banking. That way we reduce the concentration risk and improve particularly growth on the retail side of our business through our wide distribution network. We're also moving to make significant investments in technology and drive benefit realization of those as well in order to make the company a little much more customer focused in terms of convenience, something which customers are looking for. So it's really that diversification, following through on the execution of our strategy, which I've tried to elaborate in my remarks, making sure that our digital channels are working and available full-time all the time, and reaching across to serve those very diversified markets. And just improving the risk management generally within the business going forward, particularly in the area of credit risk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, CEO Matthias Katamba. As I said, we thank all the shareholders for the several questions you've posted online. We have posted the responses and uploaded them, so you can find the answers there. I probably can also pick one question which has been asked online, is why virtual as opposed to physical annual general meeting when COVID restrictions have been fully lifted? Dear shareholders, we evaluated both options, and based on the last two virtual annual general meetings, we felt that the virtual option offered more flexibility and convenience to the shareholders and allowed a wider participation, including some of our shareholders that are offshore. We, however, will revisit it for the next annual general meeting and will advise you accordingly. Thank you very much, shareholders, for this very interactive session. We shall now proceed to vote on the ordinary resolutions before you. We shared with you the instructions of how to vote. And at this juncture, I'd like to request the Secretary to read the first resolution.
Thank you, Chairman. The first resolution, it is proposed that the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2021, including the reports of the chairman, directors, and external auditors received before the meeting, be adopted.
Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution to approve the financial statements?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Mr. Wanda Ronald Samuel and seconded by Mr. Frederick Wassa.
Thank you. I now put the resolution to the meeting and ask members to vote as per the process we have shared. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Okay, I thank you. We'll move on to the next resolution. Shareholders, as we had earlier elaborated, the board does not recommend payment of dividend for the year ended 31st December 2021 in order to prepare the company for any adverse effects resulting from economic shocks. Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution not to pay dividends for 2021?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Mr. Samuel Andrew Sempala and seconded by Ms. Margaret Oruma.
Thank you. I now put the resolutions to the meeting and ask the members to vote. Again, I'll give you a couple of minutes. Thank you, shareholders. The third resolution on the agenda is to consider and, if deemed fit, confirm the appointment and re-election of directors in accordance with the provisions of the company's Articles of Association. Since I'm conflicted, given that I'm one of the persons being nominated, I will now ask one of my fellow directors, Mr. Fred Pelser, who also happens to be the chairperson of the Nominations Committee for the dfcu Limited Board, to lead the session of the meeting while I'm conflicted. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under Articles 76 of the company's Articles of Association, the Board of Directors is mandated at any time to appoint a person to be a director to fill a casual vacancy. A director so appointed shall hold office only until the next annual general meeting, but shall be eligible to be reappointed. More specifically, Mr. Jimmy Mugura and Ikukit Akelu Christine were appointed to be to the board to fill casual vacancies. Their profiles are briefly: Mr. Jimmy Mugura is a senior business leader with over 27 years experience across Africa and Europe. He has held strong background in government relations as well as highly developed commercial skills. Until recently, Jimmy was the chairman of Bank Limited, of DFCU Bank Limited, Group Africa Advisor, Chair Uganda for Tallow Oil PLC in London, and Managing Director for Tallow Oil in Uganda for 8 years. Prior to this, he worked for over 19 years for Royal Dutch Shell in senior business leadership positions across several countries in Africa and Europe, including being the senior regional advisor for Sub-Saharan Africa, Shell Africa, retail marketing manager, general manager for Shell East Africa, country chair for Kenya Shell, and retail manager in Ghana. He is an experienced independent non-executive director and chair, serving on several boards in financial, FMCG, and oil and gas industry. Dr. Ikukit Akelu Christine is an advocate of the Court of Judicature in Uganda and holds a PhD in business and economics, with a major in coaching and leadership. She is a fellow of the Chartered Governance Institute of the United Kingdom, formerly Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrations. She holds a Master of Business and Administration and Masters of Law. She previously served as the Deputy Executive Director of NEMA, providing leadership, corporate and strategic guidance, as well as advising on organizational strategic positioning and functionally organization culture and organizational structure. She possesses 24 years work experience, having served on various entities, NEMA, URA, UCB, formerly now known as Stanbic Bank, and Uganda Industrial Properties Limited. I now ask the Secretary to read the resolutions.
Thank you, Chairman. It is proposed that Mr. Jimmy Douglas Mugera, who was appointed to the board to fill a casual vacancy and seeks to be confirmed as a director on the board of directors, be appointed as a director in the company.
Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution to approve the reappointment of Mr. Jimmy Douglas Mugera?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Ms. Namubiru Priscilla and seconded by Ms. Harriet Mugamba.
Thank you. I now put the resolution to the meeting and ask the members to vote. I will provide a couple of minutes for the voting process. Company Secretary.
Thank you, Chairman. It is also proposed that Dr. Ikukit Akelu Christine, who was appointed to the board to fill a casual vacancy and seeks to be confirmed as a director on the board of directors, be re-elected as a director in the company.
Do we have a proper and a seconder for the resolution to approve the reappointment of Dr. Ikukit Akelu Christine?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Mrs. Mariam Sempija and seconded by Mr. James Malinzi.
I now put the resolution to the meeting and ask the members to vote. As previously, I provided a minute or two for the voting process. Company Secretary.
Thank you, Chairman. Another proposed resolution is that Mr. Chironde Rule, who was appointed to be on the board in September 2012, retires by rotation and being eligible, be re-elected as a director in the company.
Thank you, Company Secretary. Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution to approve the reappointment of Mr. Chironde Lule?
Chairman, the resolution has been proposed by Mr. Peter John Okedi and seconded by Ms. Florence Nika.
Once again, I provide a couple of minutes, and I now put the resolution to the meeting and ask the members to vote. Company Secretary.
Chairman, the other proposed resolution is that Dr. Amina Zawede, who was appointed to the board in August 2020, retires by rotation and being eligible, be re-elected as a director in the company.
Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution to approve the reappointment of Dr. Amina Zawede?
Chairman, the proposed resolution was proposed by Mr. Suleiman Onzima and seconded by Mr. Stephen Kasibi.
I would like to hand back to the chairman to proceed with the subsequent matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fred Pesla. Shareholders, the fourth resolution on the agenda is to consider and, if deemed fit, approve the fees payable to the non-executive directors for the year 2022. Dear shareholders, the directors do not recommend any changes to the fees payable to the non-executive directors. I now ask the Secretary to read the resolution.
Thank you, Chairman. It is proposed to consider and, if deemed fit, approve the fees payable to the non-executive directors for the year 2022.
Do we have a proposer and a seconder for this resolution?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Mr. Michael Chaku and seconded by Ms. Juliet Naziwa Musoke.
Dear shareholders, we now have to consider and approve. Maybe before we approve, we need to vote on the resolution to not increase the fees of the directors. Okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds. We now have to consider and approve the appointment of Ernst & Young as the external auditors of the company for the year 2022. I will ask the Secretary to read the resolution.
Chairman, it is proposed that a resolution be passed appointing Ernst & Young as the external auditors of the company for the year 2022.
Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution?
Yes, Chairman. The proposer is Mr. Jasi Karamaji and the seconder is Mr. Lawrence Chisamba.
Thank you. I now put the resolution to vote for the external auditors to the meeting and ask members to vote, and I'll give you a couple of minutes. Thank you. The voting process will close in 10 minutes. The tallying of the votes shall shortly be concluded and presented to you. While you look through the votes, please, I invite you to watch some of the adverts we run on our banks. And We will come back after 10 minutes. Thank you.
Welcome to the 57th Virtual Annual General Meeting of DFCU Limited. Voting. Once voting is open, those eligible to vote will receive a prompt on their mobile phones asking them to vote by dialing the provided USSD code on their mobile phones and following the prompts, or by voting via the live stream link. Those with multiple accounts or hold proxies on behalf of other shareholders will be prompted to vote for the various accounts consecutively. The voting process will be as follows. Registered shareholders and proxies will key in and dial the following USSD code from any mobile phone network in Uganda and Kenya. *284*32# for Uganda, *483*253# for Kenya. Preferred language. The prompt will be as follows. A. Choose language. 1. English. 2. Kiswahili. Once the shareholder chooses the language, the next prompt will be as follows. Welcome to the DFCU Limited AGM. Reply with 1. Once the shareholder has responded, they shall receive the following prompt. Accounts registered with your number are listed below. Reply with 1 to vote using the first listed account. Do you approve the report and financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2021, including the reports of the chairman, directors, and external auditors? Reply with 1 if in favor, 2 if against, or 3 if to abstain. Continue following the same prompts for all other resolutions. Shareholders with multiple accounts shall be prompted to vote until they exhaust all their accounts. Thank you. Name. Your vote has been registered. Voting via the live stream dashboard. Shareholders will receive an SMS with their live stream link. Once you click the link, you will find the vote button on the dashboard. Click the button and thereafter click the voting options as per your choice. Once completed, click the Vote for Motions button to complete voting. Closing the voting process. Closing of voting will be announced by the chairman. Announcing of the poll results. Results of the resolutions voted on will be published on the company's website within 24 hours following the conclusion of the AGM.
Agribusiness. What does it mean? To the Pearl of Africa, agriculture is a critical sector, feeding the entire nation, contributing over 25% of the GDP, while also providing immense opportunities to Ugandans.
Why agribusiness is important to DFCU is deeply embedded in where this sits with the economy in which we operate. 70% of Ugandans are involved in agriculture, and if we're going to do any socio-economic transformation and really scale up this economy, we must finance agriculture, we must modernize it, we must turn it into a real business.
The agribusiness sector is well diversified and has given numerous subsistence and commercial investment opportunities along the value chain. Opportunities that have been exploited by individuals and businesses who've made differences in the lives of countless Ugandans.
Here at Sunfish Farm started in 2005. That's when it was registered, and the real production started in 2006. It started with the construction of ponds. On a monthly basis, we produce about 1.5 million fry, and that 1.5 million fry is sold. 40% is taken to our cages. We have cage farming at the lake, Victoria, which we are growing fish that acts as our grow out.
We started off in 2011. That's when we broke ground. We have 3 farms. Our farm 1, which is an open-sided house, that is what we started off with. And as we speak right now, we're processing around 20,000 birds. Our abattoir is geared to do 1 million birds, and we're actually running right now at 35% of capacity.
By then tetwalina banks ku sente bali ku ddembe ne batulekera dfcu bank. Abantu bano batujja nnyo ekifo ku maaso kubanga emyaka egyo gye naliko nze nali mmanyi going to the bank kuteekayo sente na kujjayo nga tetumanyi mikisa mirala gyali mu banks ezo.
During the time when I was young, I participated in rural cultivation, and then I joined Agato College, where I went to a farm institute. That one again built me further, and it has made me now passionate about farming. I'm a reference point in the whole region in case somebody wants to establish an enterprise, especially on fruit farms. I'm always contact number one.
Our greatest success is that we have been able to move from a mill that was milling 150 tons of cane to a mill of 350 tons of cane. I've moved from a distillery plant that was producing 5,000 liters to a plant that will give me over 10,000 liters. We have expanded our plantations from a nucleus of 450 to 3,500 as of now, because our target is to have 10,000 acres of cane.
However, as profitable and impactful as agribusiness may be to our lives, it also has its risks, some of which can be addressed and protected against with bank assurance services, which give farmers a sense of comfort. Bank is proud to be contributing to the development of a vibrant agricultural sector where businesses are thriving. We're well positioned to continue providing customers with unique value propositions and quality services.
I can tell you over 20% of our lending book has been dedicated to agriculture. And we have seen people coming up to take loans to support the activities. And that has been growing over time. We have one of the largest footprints in the country. So we are actually located everywhere. In terms of accessibility to farmers, we are very accessible. So we can actually take services very close to the farmers.
Nagendako mu banks ezimu nga baagala byapa. Jukira nsina kyapa ndi mugwira ku December buli najja buze waffe wala. Nagezaako kiconnectinga ebyeri mbi connecting nga ndi ne bagamba ne twali tunokola business gyokola ate kumpi ekigaana. So nali ndi awo nenda ne bangamba ku dfcu nga ina save for loan. You save money and they give you a loan. Ne ngamba ne savinga nengene ne bansomesa boyina okusavinga na sente zoyagala no savinga sente milioni 3 ne bakwa milioni 10. Ngamba ekikulu kinene nnyo kuba sitaddeeyo musingo sirina musingo sina kyapa kye baagala. So nengenda nentandika okusavinga sente bwe naweza milioni 3 nentekayo application nateka application nampa milioni zange 10.
Banki yaffe ya dfcu yatutunuuliranga we twali tuli. In fact nze banka gye nali ndabyeko by the way. Omuntu nayingira nga mukene yena amujjudde okuva ku eyelashes paka ku bigere naye ate ne bamweyatendingako. Ye banka gye nali ndabye omuntu mwayingira nga bw'oli like it's their rainy season. We just enter our bank ate ne batusavinga.
DFCU and Rabobank are committed to supporting farmers and contributing to help enhance the agribusiness sector through financial, advisory, value chain, and market development.
DFCU Bank, together with the Rabo Foundation, pulled together resources totaling $2.8 million to establish an agribusiness development center. This is basically a training arm of DFCU Bank and having regional presence in all the regions of Uganda. And it provides capacity building to cooperatives and farmer groups, basically to build their capacity and make them bankable. And we are looking at a sustainable relationship with the bank over a longer period of time.
In Uganda, we see a lot of organizations offering financial literacy services, trainings in this area. But what makes a difference is that our partners and our members of our organization are banks. So we are very close with our colleagues in the bank, in the DFCU bank, so that it's easier to link the farmers and the organizations that are ready for financing directly to the right products.
As Uganda looks ahead, it's important for us to prepare for the various developments and growth in the agribusiness sector and be ready to adopt the changing times to capitalize on opportunities that may arise.
You know, we are in a global society today. We are in a global world. And being global, that means Ugandans have to prepare themselves for a stiffer market. And in preparing one for a stiffer market needs really Ugandans to go fully scientific. We have really to go modern.
The future of agribusiness is more than just agriculture. After agriculture, there is processing. In Uganda, we are mainly doing agriculture because now, there are very few Ugandans, very, very few. About not more than 4 or 5 are running a sugar plant. But now this is me processing sugarcane. But anything from agriculture can be processed into something and you add value to it. And that's the job for us, the young people.
We are seeing the future of agro-business in Uganda and maybe the region going to a more value-added production where the demands are going to be for value-added product in the near future.
At DFCU, we're dedicated to understanding your business and providing you with agribusiness solutions that will help you enhance your business and boost your productivity.
Thank you, DFCU, for the support you have given to SAN and for choosing SAN as one of your business partner in the line of aquaculture industry. With your support, SAN has been able to make significant contributions in the industry. SAN is being referred to as a model farm in East Africa, and through the support from DFCU, we are producing more seed and selling to other small farmers. And as such, the industry is growing and we see more fish production and food security being guaranteed in Uganda and in the region with your support. Thank you.
I would still want to appreciate the FCU because when the storm hit Korean Bank, they would have refused us to come on board. But they welcomed us, I said, with the soft hands, with the gloves, and with the patience, and with the open-mindedness, and with a lot of encouragement.
So ekyebazama akensusso era nsaba enkolagano eyo gitulina ginina namwe yeyongere bweyongezi kubanga nze mpuliranga we muntu usizza wawanvu ate nga gyendaganda abayo.
DFCU is a local bank that has been here for 50 years. A bank that has scale, but also a bank that has demonstrated over the years its commitment to the transformation of Uganda. Our commitment to the agricultural sector can only have an impact if you walk into our doors, come see what we do, and take advantage of the opportunities and services that we provide.
The adverts have shown some of the good work that DFCU does. I'd like us to give a round of applause, even if virtually, to our staff for the good work that they do. But also for us to encourage those farmers who have now become agribusiness farmers, one of the pillars of DFCU. Thank you very much. Shareholders, we thank you for participating in this voting process. I shall now invite our external auditor, Geoffrey Byamgisha from Ernst & Young, to confirm the results.
Thank you, Chairman. To the members, I read this report. We were guided by the scope of work provided by DFCU Limited to attest the effectiveness of controls for the virtual AGM platform. The following controls were evaluated. Registration of the DFCU board members and stakeholders participating in the AGM. Sorry, I repeat that. Registration of the DFCU board members and shareholders participating in the AGM. Procedures and processes for accessing, storing, and processing personal data in line with Ugandan laws. Processes of nomination and voting and generating results. Reporting of voting and polling results. Process of extraction of private data from the cloud for DFCU Limited records. Process of ensuring that all private data, once the AGM is complete, is removed from the cloud storage of Image Registrars Limited servers. Compliance with data protection and privacy regulation of Uganda 2019. Our procedures covered the controls within the AGM process and virtual AGM platform, which is developed, supplied, and managed by Image Registrars Limited. We performed assurance procedures to check whether all the required controls are followed during the voting process by board members of DFCU Limited and identified shareholders. We checked that the controls designed and applied within the voting platform are aligned to AGM policies and procedures. To AGM policies and procedures, DFCU Limited application and IT general controls and leading practices. We confirm that based on the procedures performed, that we did not identify any issues that would materially alter the outcome of the resolutions and polling results from this AGM. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The external auditor confirms the results of the polls, and as we said, the polls will be online within 24 hours after the AGM. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now ask the Secretary to confirm if there is any AOB, any other business for discussion for which due notice was given.
Chairman, there is no other business for discussion for which due notice was given.
Thank you, Secretary. There being no other business of which due notice has been given, I take this opportunity to thank all the shareholders who have attended virtually and those who are present here today for attending this meeting. And this concludes our business for the 57th Annual General Meeting. I also take this opportunity to appreciate my fellow board members on DFCU Limited, the board of DFCU Bank, all staff of DFCU, legal mark advocates who are company secretary, and image registrars who, for the work they have done towards the success of this meeting. I thank you for your attendance and declare the meeting officially closed. Thank you very much. Can I beg your indulgence, shareholders, even though we have officially closed the meeting? We all recognize that it's the people who make our business tick. So we always take opportunity in this AGM, as has been the norm in our previous AGMs, annual general meetings. We recognize and award our staff who have performed exceptionally well in the year 2021 with the Dr. William Kalema Award. I now would like to invite our Chief Change and Innovation Officer, Ms. Veronica Sentongo, who also looks after HR, to take over the session of the Dr. William Kalema Award. Over to you, Veronica. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Chair. Thank you very much for the opportunity you've accorded the bank to recognize our exceptional performers in the year 2021 to 2022. As way of introduction, the Dr. Kalema Award for Excellence recognizes employees who go above and beyond the call in all that they do for DFCU Bank. Named after Dr. Kalema, our former board chairman, who displayed exceptional service over a period of 14 years within the bank, the award recognizes remarkable performance in the following categories. 5 raters, or 5 stars as we like to call them, are staff who consistently and significantly exceed their performance objectives throughout the year. They are also employees who demonstrate compliance with the bank's values and behavior. They're self-driven and do not require constant supervision. These are employees who are dependable, they work independently, they get along with their peers and management, display exceptional grooming, good attendance, and are team players. They're employees who are loyal to the bank and to the brand, are upbeat, positive, and always have a proactive attitude. As the board chair has shared, every year we recognize as a bank these staff for their exceptional performance. In 2022, we had a total of 10 5-raters, which means we had 10 staff who were exceptional and exceeded their deliverables. They were also role models in uplifting the DFCU values, which are professionalism, integrity, customer focus, courage, and teamwork. The nominations were sent out to the bank, and all staff were eligible to vote. We received a total of 521 submissions from the staff. I will now present to you our 10 nominees. Our first nominee is Monica Nantume, a Banking Officer 1 at Abaita branch. Our second nominee is Derek Boyo, a personal banker at Mukono branch. Our third nominee is Ambrose Bainom-Gisha, the head of financial analysis and planning in our financial domain. Fourth is Julius Ogeatum, branch manager, Pader branch. Fifth is Farida Nalubega, manager cards and money transfers in our marketing department. Sixth, Philip Ochaya, branch manager, Gulu branch. 7, Stella Adiko, customer service officer, Iganga branch. 8th, Elijah Kayondo, banking officer 1, Masaka branch. 9, Douglas Turinawe, banking officer 1, Mukono branch. And finally, Andrew Sengendo, customer service officer, Lugogo branch. Dear board chair and our shareholders, I now present to you the Dr. Kalema Award winners. As this is a hybrid event, we will have some of the winners receive it physically, and the rest will receive their awards in absentia, and we will thereafter have a formal award ceremony for them. I present to you our second runner-up, who achieved the following contributions for the bank. Growth in non-funded income of 3 billion against a target of 2.7 billion. In terms of new loan disbursements, 11.2 billion against a target of 9.3 billion. Signing up customers for Women in Business, which is one of our flagship initiatives, they brought in 600 customers against a target of 300. They had new accounts, 100 accounts brought in against a target of 90. And when it came to customer complaint resolution within the SLA, the target was 100%. They achieved 290%. I present to you our second runner-up, who is here with us physically today, Andrew Sengendo, the Customer Service Officer, Logogo Branch. Andrew, we salute you.
Invite the board chair, Bank, Dr. Winnie, to present the award to Andrew Sengendo, and congratulations, Andrew.
Congratulations again, Andrew. Our first runner-up achieved the following contributions for the bank. With regards to non-interest income, against a target of 4.7 billion, they achieved 5.5 billion. We have what we call cardless transactions, where you're able to transact on our digital channels without a card. They attained 7,000 transactions worth 7.1 billion. We had 92 new credit cards issued in the month of December only, to a value of 484.5 million, representing a brand new income line for the bank and a 16% year-on-year increment. This person also increased our Visa card acceptance rates online from 64% last year to 81% this year, also deploying what we're calling the 3D Secure for online payments, bringing in 22 million income. I, with pleasure, present to you our first runner-up, Farida Nalubega, Manager Cards and Money Transfers in our Marketing Department. Farida is currently representing the bank in Tanzania, so she will not be here to physically receive the award, but congratulations, Farida, as I know you're online. Dear Board Chair of DFCU Limited and Board Chair of DFCU Bank, I present to you the winner of the 2022 Dr. Kalema Award. The winner is described as dedicated, customer-centric, a team player with unending desire to serve our customers. He joined the bank 8 years ago and has served in numerous roles within the Blue family. He has worked as a teller, personal financial consultant, customer service officer, branch operations officer, and has recently been appointed as branch manager. Their 2021 achievements include growing the branch's asset base to 5.6 billion against a target of 3.1 billion. This winner was also the topmost in the operational scorecard in the entire bank, with a score of 118% against a target of 100%. With regards to risk and compliance, very exemplary award. He achieved an acceptable audit and green rating in all risk reviews. Dear Board Chair, our shareholders, I present to you our 2022 winner of the esteemed Dr. Kalema Award, Julius Ogeatum, Branch Manager, Padre Branch. Once again, Julius is unable to receive this award physically today, but we will be holding a ceremony separately for him to receive the award. If you're near Julius, congratulate him, and congratulations, Julius. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, shareholders. Thank you, everybody who has attended. Thank you, media. Thank you, all the service providers. This concludes our session today. Thank you, and travel safely.
Thank you, Chair. Very good.
So that's our board meetings will run. Can we take pictures of the board?